Scott Jackson, and the mouth of the South, Fred Smooth.
Good evening. Welcome in. 56-14, the final. Dallas wins it. Scott Jackson, Fred Smoot with you here, and hopefully Christmas went well because this game certainly didn't. This game certainly did not. We'll check in Dallas here in a little bit with some of the locker room reaction. We'll get to some calls as well. We're on the YouTube tonight.
Yeah.
Fred and I both appropriately wearing black.
Yeah. It was a funeral. It did not go the way we thought it was.
It was a funeral. It was 21-0 after the first. It was 42-7 at halftime, and of course the final was 56-14. I mean, look, we know what this team's been through. They played on Tuesday. They've had injuries. They've had COVID. And all that, but I don't think anybody in their worst nightmare
thought it was going to be like
thought
this.
It was going to be this hideous.
Just because no matter what this team has went through, long as they've been under Coach Rivera, they found a way. We found him shorthanded.
Yeah.
We found him coming from hospital visits to coach games, and he's found a way. We've never seen it get out of hand the way that it got out of hand, and I think with it getting out of hand like this, it took us back to before coaches and before what we used to. And I had to really stop and think for a second. How many players did we got missing for injury? How many players do we have missing from COVID? And then I had to think to myself, so do a lot of other teams.
Sure.
You know, and with this being one of these rivalry NFC East games, you would think this is the time you would not let it get out of hand. But I'm sorry, after that first drive, after we went 3 and out, and then the interception by Heineke, your guy, all right, we never seemed to bounce back after that. I seen those smiles turn upside down to frowns, and I think we never got our momentum back, and they start to make play after play after play. And you talking about a team that scored on offense 4 times, on special teams, on defense. You talking about every way we could lose, we found a way to lose tonight, and they found a way to win.
Yeah, I mean, like every position scored. They had a tackle eligible score. See by Geico with your rent-or-own. Geico makes it easy to bundle home and auto insurance. You into the 2022 mentality now when you look at this team. Clearly, you still needed help even if you were to run the table these last 3 weeks. Obviously, that's out the window now.
Yeah.
You got to look at 2020, and I don't know. I mean, again, a lot of it's going to come down to as simple as next week is like who's available. Who's available to play.
But see, that's the whole thing. If you're a coach and you're the front office and you're trying to really, see what these guys are these last couple of games, how could you do that when you're getting guys like DJ Hayden, who you thought was Ryan Fitzmagic?
I thought 14 on the field. I'm like, Fitzpatric's playing at DB tonight. What's going on
here? When you got guys like that out there, how are you really seeing what next year is going to look like? Right. So that's the dilemma that we're dealt with. But, we are going to get some guys back. I do expect them to play better because I told you I went through a loss like this.
Yeah, they got a lot of hope now.
Yeah, they got hope.
They got 3 first-rounders, too.
That's the embarrassment of riches right there. All right, and you got to understand, not only do they got 3 first-rounders, what could they turn those 3 first-rounders into? Right. You can abracadabra turn that into a 8-year veteran quarterback. You can turn that into picks for next year. Pick the best players available this year. I'm hoping it don't turn into a Derek Stingley. I'm hoping it don't turn into one of these game-changing players. So at the end of the day, if you're looking at a franchise and say, you know what, they're setting up for success, I think Philadelphia is finally trying to get there.
Yeah, so we'll deal with that coming up a little bit later, but that's the next week's game. But this one, I mean, again, it sucks to lose to the Cowboys normally.
Yeah, by
but
3.
But to lose one
by
like
3.
this, I mean, this was –
This one hurt. This one hurt.
And plus, you were never really in it.
In the game. Never really in the game.
Never in the game at all. And, I think leaving the game a few weeks ago – there was a little bit of like, hey, we did some things well in the second half.
We almost came back on
Dallas
this team.
was up by 24 at halftime, but then you kind of crawled back into it and had a chance. But obviously, ended up losing the game.
I left the game the other week saying we're not that far away. Even though they beat us,
right.
we're not that far away. And I'm asking myself, am I being real to myself to say am I judging our team or am I judging pieces of our team today? Because I felt like we got played with. We played with pieces of our team, and we caught them at full strength almost. Full strength.
Well, and look, the loss wasn't the only thing. You had a sideline altercation between the two Bama defensive tackles, Jonathan Allen and Jerome Payne had some words. Jonathan Allen connected. It looked like lower jaw area. I don't know what that was.
Barbecue.
Yeah, you were on a lot of teams. You've seen some
heated
stuff happen.
Before,
Heated stuff happen. Are they still friends now, or is everything okay? How does that work? Help us work through the dynamics of this.
I don't know. You know what? I like to major in communication, so you see me in there watching the fight over and over again, trying to read lips.
Right.
I'm trying to see what was said because if I kept on watching it, Payne was the guy that initially got up.
Yeah.
Payne was the guy that initially put the finger to the temple of John Wick, and of course John Wick retaliated.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know, but is it my first time seeing players fight? No. I've been a part of so many fights. Is that the first time I seen it during the second quarter?
Yeah. On national TV, probably.
On national TV, yeah, it is. So I don't know, but I know what can take us that far. When we get frustrated with each other, when things ain't going well, we lash out at each other, just like you would do with family, brothers, sisters. They do it all the time. And I want to look at it, to me, as two brothers fighting. That's how I look at it. I look at it as two brothers fighting. If I see two brothers fighting in the park, we're going to let them fight because they're going to fight at home, and we don't be there to stop them. So at the end of the day, I just think it was a skirmish, and it got really out of hand as they start to pile on, yards after yards. And you know what we'll do in football. We'll hold each other accountable. Me and Bluefoot, Sean Springs, they got to arguing on the sideline because I'm what are you doing? He like, what you doing? You ain't made no play. He like, you ain't made no play. So we've had these exchanges of words, and I don't think it'll go no farther than it did tonight.
So they could still get together, watch the Alabama-Cincinnati game.
They are.
All right.
They listen. I just think once you've been through war together, it ain't nothing for brothers to get into an argument. And of course, we are the media. We're gonna make it bigger than it was because there's nothing else to talk about. What else we gonna talk about? How we got demolished? We got demolished. Listen. This was one of them things, like you said. After the first 3-4 minutes of the game. It wasn't even no game.
It was helpless. It was really, helpless. We haven't seen a no-compete, with this group. Maybe the closest thing to the blowout was the Buffalo game in Buffalo, but even then they kind of,
they started to fall back.
They kind of fought back there, but this one today was like, the start-to-finish beatdown, and you just haven't seen it. Yeah, look,
it's the first time under Rivera.
Yeah, it's first time under Rivera, and then even in the prime time, people like to point out, the prime time's been so bad, but actually they have played well in the prime time lights for Ron, and that's why tonight, look, you could say coming in, what were they, a 10.5-point underdog or whatever the number was, which isn't shocking with all the people they're missing. Last minute, you pulled Jamin Davis off the field.
Yeah, I've been saying, put him off the field. You're just getting back Sweat. Yeah. To me, Sweat looked winded. He looked like
second game back. I thought he would have looked a little bit better,
a little fresher,
But
maybe
he played,
that COVID affects people different.
In that Eagles game,
Brian McCain, I thought made plays. And him, the safeties made plays all day. Him and Jeremy Reeves. But once I see them tackling time after time after again, that means you are already 15 yards down the field if you meet them every play. And I ain't trying to make no excuses. I don't make excuses. But when are we going to start holding the referees in this league accountable to doing their job? They blatantly let Heineke get tossed from hash to hash by defensive line. Gregory sacked him, rolled over, and mocked him in his face. And no call was made.
Well, and he also got hit in the face on his first completion.
No call was made. The center was up the field 15 yards before the ball left the quarterback's hands. No call. Now, at one point, people gonna have to say, is it just us they do like this? Because we see this week in and week out when it comes to the referee. They turn their head when stuff happens to our quarterback. They turn their head when people turn us. They turn our head when things go on. At the end of the day, they should be held accountable just like the NBA referees, because right now we're letting the game be controlled by guys don't care how it turns out.
Well, that was just like a salt in the wound thing, right? Because, I mean, the wound was already gushing and wide open, and you're bleeding, you can't stop it, and then you see these little things, you're like, well, you could have got a flag, because that would have been nice.
And they would have kept the drive going. Think about that roughing the passer.
Right.
That's a 15-yarder plus a first down,
so
not third and 5.
Right, it's first drive.
All right, so what I'm saying is if Dak was hit like that, we've seen this called.
Yeah.
We've seen lesser calls called on our defensive line than our defensive players. But our guys can get taken to the woodshed and nobody say anything.
All right. We'll hope to get to some locker room stuff shortly. We'll get to some of the final numbers from this one, and they're bad. I mean, it's just
like I told you about that book.
Oh man,
I wish I was blind. Didn't have to read them.
All right, so you ready for this?
Yep, I'm ready.
28-14 first downs, Dallas. 3 for 13 on third downs, 10 for 15 for Dallas. 497 total yards to 257. You had 389 yards passing, Dallas 172 for Washington. Rushing yards 108 to 85. So Dallas didn't even need to run it tonight.
Yep.
They were 6 for 6 in the red zone. 6 for 6 in the red zone.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, the turnovers, of course, 2-0. Washington, again, what is a big point going into the game? Can't turn it over. They did that again against Dallas. And obviously the first one was on the first play from scrimmage on offense after you had forced Dallas to punt. And numbers are brought to you by Novak, keeping life bright. The final numbers tonight. Not good for Washington. Again, Dak Prescott didn't even finish the third quarter.
Didn't need it. He dominated.
Yeah, 330 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Taylor Heineke, 7 of 22, 121, a pick and touchdown and 2 picks.
Dak actually looked hefty tonight. He actually ran outside the pocket better.
Yeah, he looked good.
He looked hefty tonight. He looked locked in, and that's when you got to break disruptions. That's when you have to, after you get them on their first 3 and out, you got to go score some points. Because once they got up, they proved to us that we're not good coming from behind. All right, that makes us one-dimensional. We have to pass the ball, and you can't. And I have to ask you this. We said at the beginning of this year, this was going to be Heineke's year to either show that he's a starter or that he's a backup. What do you think he did today?
Yeah, I mean, look, the last 2 Dallas games have been terrible for him. I mean, clearly. I mean, I think certainly, look, can the guy play in the league? Sure. Can he win you games? You need him to? Yes. Is he your 17-week starter now?
Yeah.
We play 17 games? No, I mean, that doesn't appear to be the case. And that's what will be interesting for these last 2 weeks because now that, the idea of any postseason runs out the window, do you want to evaluate Kyle Allen a little bit more? Because remember, leaving last year, they had some, Ron Rivera had a lot of nice things to say about Kyle Allen. Thought Kyle Allen, had he not been injured, would have been the guy to drive them into the postseason last year, which obviously Alex Smith did. So, we'll see. I mean, if they make those decisions, and it may be a tough one to call tonight because they got dominated at the line of scrimmage, just like the first game.
Yeah, they did.
Micah Parsons was in the backfield. DeMarcus
Randy Gregory
was in the backfield.
My God.
Everybody. I mean, they couldn't block him. They had no answers for them.
And we couldn't separate with the wide receivers separating from the defensive back. Their second level with Van Der Esch played well. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you the truth. I just felt like they was healthier than us. Because I'm not just talking about the COVID guy. Don't worry about it. COVID is what we cannot control. But even the guys that we got back, think about it. They got DeMarcus Lawrence back, scored a touchdown tonight. All right, they got Zeke back, scored a touchdown tonight. We got Antonio Gibson back. He played the first quarter, and that was it.
Yeah.
We got Sweat back. He was ineffective rushing the passer. Jamin Davis was supposed to start, did not play. All right, so we had so many guys that was addition and subtraction. I just thought, the coaching was at a dead-end road when it came to this. They was going to have to truly coach their way out of this one. Wasn't going to be no running.
Yeah, and I guess on the podium we've just heard that they are going to intend to stick with Taylor Heineke next week. They took him out to protect him because obviously, again, they couldn't block Dallas.
No, he gonna go to church with a black eye this week. Like this, you can't explain it. How you supposed to explain that to church people? Why you got a black eye? You can't tell them you was in a fight. Like seriously, Heineke earned a lot of respect from him tonight because he got tossed around, Jack. He got tossed around.
It was like the first game.
And I've never seen, I thought this was a league that don't allow you to hit quarterbacks no more. We hit they tight end in the chest. McCain hit him in the chest. He got a roughing the tight end call. That
But he
ain't
caught
even
the
a call.
flag, too, which is pretty impressive.
That's what.
That was
he
really
caught the
impressive.
flag. No, because he got more. He got another penalty. Like, we were so off tonight. Like, we was emotionally, we just wasn't there. We wasn't there.
No doubt. 56-14 the final. I mean, you played in a lot of Dallas, Washington games.
I have.
And I usually give you a hard time about some of the lowlights of your career, but I have to say, I don't think you ever had one. You never had one like this.
I never had one this low.
All right.
I never had.
Well, at least you got that going for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in head coach Ron Rivera. Coach, boy, tough one tonight, obviously, just really from the jump. Everything snowballed against your groups this evening.
Well, the disappointing thing was we went ahead and took a shot, on the very first offensive series, and thought we could make something out of it, and we didn't. And, it's unfortunate. We had a chance. We just got to throw that ball outside.
Coach Smoot here, and I had the same situation. We had a game against the Patriots when that Coach Gibbs was here, and the Patriots really took us down through there. And I remember going in that locker room, and Coach said for 4 quarters we had our manhood tested, and we lost that test. But he said the real test was going to come the week upcoming to see can we get back to playing Washington football. Was that similar to the message that you gave the team?
Smoot, that's what I love about you because you can relate, you can put it out there, and I think that's important. It is exactly what this is all about. We're going to find out who we really are as young men, as football players, as a football team.
And as you play these final 2 weeks, Coach, you look at it now, with obviously the mass against you. Do you do anything different? Are there people you want to look at maybe a little bit more than maybe that weren't getting some time to this point?
Oh yeah, well we most certainly play this to win. I mean that's the way we're going to approach it. We had some guys compete, put it all there, and we are most certainly going to, compete. That's for damn sure.
Well, I already know that, Coach, because the one thing they always tell you is the eye in the sky don't lie. And if you're a good player in this league, you want to finish strong and don't put any bad film out there, Coach. How much is going to take energy-wise for you to galvanize these guys and say, let's finish strong, let's show them who he is, let's build going into next year?
Oh, absolutely. Believe me, it's going to take a lot of energy, but I'm going to be on it, Freddie. That's the truth of the matter. We're going to compete. We're going to give it everything we have, and we'll go out there and put it all together.
And I think that's where everybody was shocked at, Coach, because since your rivalry, we haven't had these type games where things just got unraveled. And I'm sure these players don't know how to respond to that because since you've been here, y'all haven't. What approach are you going to kind of take to re-ravel this thing back tight?
I think the big thing is you're just going to have to really challenge them more than anything else. Challenge them to fight it within themselves.
Mm-hmm. True. Gut check.
All right, Coach. Thanks. And safe travels back. Happy New Year to you. We'll talk to you next week after Philadelphia. Appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, Coach.
All right, thank you. Here goes Ron Rivera. Tough night at the office, 56-14. Cowboys win it down in Big D at Jerry World. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We'll come back. We may be hearing from one of the quarterbacks as well. We got more from the postgame. We'll also get to Ron Rivera's podium where he did talk about a little bit of the the Jonathan Allen, Durham Payne situation too later in the hour as well. Official postgame show. Scott Jackson, Fred Smith with you. You're listening to the Washington Football Team.
Time to go inside Coach's office, presented by Geico. Great news, there's a quick way you could save money. Switch to Geico. Visit geico.com and in 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more on car insurance.
Over here what I have is a group of the challenge coins that I've collected over time. There's some really neat ones, some really pretty unique ones as well. Some of them I've received from generals, from commanding officers, colonels, and majors. Some from NCOs, from sergeants, master sergeants. I was fortunate enough to receive one from the SEAL teams. I received one from the Delta Force teams. Just some really neat people and great Americans, people that have really truly committed to our country and sacrificed and really do appreciate who these folks are.
We love our house. Been here for years.
Yeah, but there's an animal in the attic. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
or bundling made easy. Go to geico.com. Here are your hosts, Scott Jackson and Fred Smoot.
All right, welcome back. Checking us out on the YouTube. You can there. We'll be here with you for about 40 minutes or so longer. Scott Jackson and Fred Smoot, 56-14. Dallas wins it tonight. Again, 42-7 at halftime, 21-0 after the first. Just heard from Ron Rivera discussing now what's next, right?
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks playing
That's the only question you can ask right now, Jack.
On the sideline incident, I was watching this in real time as we were talking to the coach, so we only have really like 2 or 3, usually like 3 to 4 questions with him. I knew he wasn't going to tell us what Ron Payne and Jonathan Allen fought about, so
yeah, so I know you was asking him.
Yeah, I didn't bother with it. We'll hear it on the podium here in a little bit when we do that at the in the last segment, but of this hour, he just said basically, that, you keep what they said to themselves. Said there's no discipline action. Sense of frustration, wanting to win, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Come on, this ain't the first time y'all done saw football players get into Brussels. If you done been to any training camps, any practices, it happens a lot. And Coach was right. If you look at the amount of things that these guys have endured in the last 2 weeks, on and off the field, it starts to collect. We kind of caught that Raiders team while they was in the midst of a cloud, and it kind of, beat them up a little bit. So I understand where he's coming from. But I know since there's nothing good to say about this game for 1 week, that's all we're going to talk about. That's all everybody going to talk about is the Ron Payne and John Allen, which it'll be over with them by the time they land from Dallas.
Well, listen, I think part of it, too, is it would be different if it was, I don't know, like Allen and Sweat or Allen and, I don't know, Settle or something. But the fact that it's these two guys that went to college together, played together.
And they've been like brothers since they've been here.
Right. Which
well, brothers fight, Jack.
Yeah.
Brothers fight more than strangers do. Brothers do.
I was the younger brother, and I was the one who would take the cheap shot and run. So, if I was Allen, I would have hit him, and then I would have run off the bench the other direction. I would have dipped out. Yeah. But Allen, obviously, he's
But here go the thing. Payne is the young one out the group.
Right.
Allen is the older guy.
Yeah. Look, it aided both. It definitely aided him. You could see it on his face. They kept showing him on the sideline every 2 seconds after it happened. But, again, you hope they get together. And, look, they got a huge challenge. Jalen Hurts destroyed this team on Tuesday night.
Yeah, he did.
Philadelphia, they gashed them. Dallas Goedert was putting up, fantasy numbers that night, too. I mean, so as bad as this one feels, man.
Who do we get back to go to war with?
Right. I mean, I think you get Holcomb back this week, which will certainly be helpful.
Jamin
Davis will play. He was COVID negative, by the way, was the other piece of post-game news that came out after they were worried he was positive. So that's certainly it. And, and look, who knows? The other part of this is, like, I don't know what the collateral damage is for, like, this team. Like, literally found out on Friday that, hey, DeShazer's Everett's out. He's just been in a car accident.
Yeah.
His girlfriend's died.
There's a lot.
I mean, all this stuff's going on. I mean, it's just it's not a great way to start the week. Obviously, it's just a terrible story.
No, and see, that's
situation.
why I think people, when they watch us on the big screen, they take the human element out of our lives. All right, well, we're humans also. Yeah, I know we entertain on Sundays and Mondays and whatever day you want to watch us play, but we're still human beings, and that took a toll watching their brother have to go through that. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where, like I said, sometimes people have to just stop and say, you know what, these athletes they're human too.
All right, 56-14 the final. We'll take a timeout. We'll get to the injury report on the other side, and well, I don't know how you pick players of the game. I think we'll just have to pick a player or two.
Yeah.
Because it was really not
It just wasn't our day, but we had some youngsters that learned something like John Bates.
Yeah.
All right, we had some guys that went out there and made some plays, some young guys that took advantage of the time that they got to play, and we'll show them some love even though it's a loss, even though if it was an embarrassing loss. It happens. It's part of the NFL. Still got to show some love to the guys that kept on playing.
All right, 56-14 the final. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Official postgame show. Scott Jackson, Fred Smooth. This is the Washington Football Team Radio Network.
The Players Club is brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Football Team.
Let me bring it back home a little bit for this. Jennifer King.
Amazing.
Much
respect.
A lot of it is, it's opportunity, but she has fought her butt off to be in the position that she is in. Let me ask you guys, this is like when you talk to the running backs on this team now, they don't even look at her as female. They look at her as a good coach.
Yeah. I love that.
And a lot of them are saying, you know what, like she knows it, she played it, she gets it, there's no drop off.
When I see Jennifer King, I see my mother. I see my sister.
No doubt.
So I have so much respect for a black woman because I was raised by a black woman. So I tip my hat off to the barriers and the stereotypes of not just for a black woman, but for women in general. At the end of the day, we all play to win. We all play to get better. Whatever you are, if you're giving me the information that allows me to do my job at the best I could possibly do it, I'm all in.
Another round. What a night. I'm gonna head home now.
Make sure you call for a ride. That's what we're doing.
I'm fine. I can drive. I'm fine.
Just calm down. Come on, man. None of us are fit to drive. How about we get you a safe ride home, all right?
It's about grit. It's about guts. It's about winning. It's about where we come from and what we can be. It's about DC and celebrating our football team. With the Washington Football Team Scratcher from the DC Lottery, you can win up to $50,000, as well as some exciting second chance opportunities. And you can continue your winning experience at DCILottery.com.
Here are your hosts, Scott Jackson and Fred Smoot.
1st and 10 at the Washington 13. Snap to Prescott. Steps up, looks to the left, throws toward the end zone. That is caught by Amari Cooper for a touchdown right inside the front left pylon.
You know, Cooper coming into this game was even saying he wanted more targets. And they said, you know what, there's only one ball to go around, but he has been targeted a lot in this game. 8 targets, 6 receptions for 71, and what he just did right there.
56-14, the final.
That's how you say.
42-7 at halftime.
Sound like you had just took a big bite into a piece of pumpkin pie.
I did. Oh,
just,
man. Tell you what, I had some pumpkin pie yesterday. I was going to bring you some leftover. I know you're a big fan of it.
I'm glad you didn't. Thank you.
I know you're a big fan of it. I didn't, though.
I had pumpkin pie tonight from 8:20 to 11:30.
Oh, boy. Here's the good news. Injury report brought to you by Inova, the official health system of the Washington football team. Learn more at inova.org. From this game, I actually think Washington came out pretty healthy. So...
Well,
that.
I would say
there's that.
We didn't come into the game.
Right.
Healthy,
well,
right.
But Jamin Davis was a last minute scratch. Thought he might have COVID. They said his COVID test came back negative. There's
what about Antonio Gibson? I didn't see him out there.
Antonio Gibson did right, and I never got. I think is that just like protection, much like Taylor Heineke who left. It wasn't injury or play.
I seen him limp off the field.
Hit a lot.
I seen him limp off the field after he made that big catch and run.
Yeah, Gibson had the toe coming in. Did get it in the end zone, one of the 2 Washington touchdowns. Did get 10 fantasy points for yours truly tonight. But they, did not finish the game either. And then you saw a lot of Jonathan Williams late, so I'm not sure what the update will be on him. I'm sure he's going to probably be questionable going into the Philly game like he's been the last few weeks. I mean, this is going to be something he's just going to have to deal with the rest of the season.
Everybody been clamoring to see Jeremy Reeves play. He had 10 tackles today, 6 total. I mean, 1 solo tackle. He had 6 combined tackles in there, so I thought he showed up. I thought he left an interception on the field, though. It was one of those interceptions that was overthrew that he could have caught that ball. He got to come down with that ball if he wants more playing time. Right?
Well, he's going to get it the rest of this year, obviously, with Collins already on the shelf.
Yeah.
Which, again, goes back to how weird it is to think that at the beginning of the year, you're like, well, gosh, I don't know, this guy can't be on the field. At the same time, Cam Curl. Now you're like, we can't live without him.
No, because you moved him into more of a Jamal Adams role, and he excelled at that.
Yeah.
He didn't excel with you trying to play him deep. And I have been saying it, moving closer to the line of scrimmage, and he started to make those plays. He started to change some games. So now when you lose him and you lose a Jamin Davis, of course, your defense, and we never said this. We looked at the play of the players, but we never said how much losing these players handicapped the callers of the defense and the offense.
That's true. You got to think, look, they had 3 linebackers tonight that were active, or 4 linebackers active tonight. I believe the number was 44 snaps this season. Total, and 42 of them were by one guy, David Mayo.
And guess what? No caller. You had nobody in there that was used to calling the plays.
Yeah.
So you had to basically play generic. And I think that's what Dak and them found early, that they only going to play us in cover 3 or cover 1. They can't play the exotic stuff because they don't have the guys to call it. So nobody ever brought that up. I put it in the coach's lap before this game started. I never took that into account, that they wasn't going to have the guys that they needed to call their full repertoire. They were going to be limited on what they could call.
All right, so the offensive play of the game, we're going to go ahead and give that to John Bates, his touchdown late in the game.
Jay Bates.
Because at first he fumbled it, then he recovered his own fumble, and then was able to crawl into the end zone for his first career NFL touchdown. So John Bates actually got a fumble recovery touchdown on that, is how that is officially scored for those of you scoring at home.
So it's not considered a reception?
No, it's considered a fumble recovery touchdown. Isn't that wacky?
So that means that it's not his first receiving touchdown.
But it's his first touchdown.
But it's not his first receiving touchdown.
Right, so we can still have that moment at some point, hopefully.
So is it a defensive touchdown?
No, it's still an offensive touchdown. He helped recover his own fumble. Brought to you by Eureka, proud partner of the Washington football team. Visit eurekavs.com. So that would be John Bates. Wow. So I'm going to – because –
what you laughing at, Jay?
I'm just thinking about, like, these kind of games you have to pick, like, plays or players of the game.
When it's not really
– it's not fair, right?
Yeah.
But I would say the series of the game for the defense, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're the defensive guy
You're wrong
here,
most of the time.
was the opening series, right?
Yeah,
they got
3 and
Dallas
out.
to punt. Well, it went to 3. They got a first down, but it was a 6 and out, right? It was a 6 and out. They sacked Prescott twice in that series.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt good, right? For a minute, like, oh, what a great start. They had to punt on 4th and 17. And then literally the very next play is your offense throwing an interception. And after that,
it's over.
The rest of the night was complete garbage.
It's like the plane ride to paradise. You get out.
Right.
You like the weather is great. You go in your room to change clothes, and it just pour down raining.
Right.
And it does it
that
for
was
the
rest
next
of the night.
2 days. And that's what happened to us right now.
Absolutely. But that was the moment. If there was a moment, if you were going to go watch, if you missed this game and you're just getting in the car and you're like, wow, 56-14, I don't think I can watch this game. You're right, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But if you were going to, you could watch the first Dallas offensive series and just turn it off there and hit delete on your DVR. If you're a Washington fan, but obviously you're a Cowboy fan, you're going to be soaking in it for the rest of the season.
We got to ride through this thing together. I don't want no fair weather fans that just here when we win. All right? Where you at when we lose? Because this is one thing about this game called football. Every team in the league is going to endure losses during the year. The question is, can you win more than you lose? And when you lose, do you stick together or do you just fall apart? That's the whole thing, Jack. That's the true test of a fan base. I've watched Cincinnati Bengals fans endure the last 35 years before Joe Burrow just threw for 500 yards today. And they stuck together. Cleveland fans still ain't got nothing to hope for, and they still sticking in there.
They had a chance yesterday.
I'm just saying.
They had a real chance.
Like, the fan of them will test you. All right, well, they ain't going to test you when you're winning. It's only tested when you're losing.
All right, so that defensive moment that I just described, that was brought to you by the Virginia Department of Health and the Washington football team tackling COVID together. All right, 301-230-0980. We'll get to some calls coming up. We've got also we'll hear a little bit of the Ron Rivera podium portion of the post game before we get out of here. And yes, we will look ahead to the Philadelphia Eagles at some point. 56-14 the final. Scott Jackson, Fred Smith with you. You're listening to the Washington football team.
I'd like to get each of your take on what is your favorite play from your Super Bowl game, Doug?
For my Super Bowl, it had to be the 54-yarder to Ricky Sanders. And that was 60 counter trade pass. Fake, I'm looking at Tony Lilly right now coming up because we was running the ball pretty decent at that time. And Tony Lilly came up to force the run, and Ricky, came across the formation in the zoom, went up the field, boom, and next thing you know, he's behind Tony Lilly. You can see Tony Lilly saying this, he said, oh, shoot. He couldn't get back. And he turned, and Ricky was gone. Yeah.
What about for you, Joe?
It has to be the moment when I knocked the ball away from Kim Bocamper. We were backed up. We were down at the time. We were backed up. We ran a little quick hitch. That's all it was a zero route, 5-yard turn. And I remember dropping back, and they rolled to Alvin on the right, Garrett. And I turned around, and I was going to fire it back out to Charlie Brown on the left side, and Kim went up in the air and knocked the ball. And the ball it's literally just, I could read, Wilson on. I could count every stitch, and I could see the ball, and everything went into slow motion again in my life. And he's got his arms out, and this is right on the goal line. And I couldn't get to it, and I just lunged at the last minute. I managed to get my arm in between it, stripped the ball away, and the both of us sat in the end zone looking at one another. And I went, that was close.
We love our house. Been here for years.
Yeah, but there's an animal in the attic. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
It's about grit. It's about guts. It's about winning. It's about where we come from and what we can be. It's about DC and celebrating our football team. With the Washington football team scratcher from the DC Lottery, you can win up to $50,000, as well as some exciting second chance opportunities. And you can continue your winning experience at DCILottery.com.
Fred Smoot.
And Washington gets their first drive of the game with Taylor Heineke back under center after missing the last game in Philadelphia. 1st and 10 at their own 28, moving left to right. Bates in motion. Gibson is the back. We're going to start with a play action, and Heineke's going to take a shot on the first play, testing Trayvon Diggs, who picks off the pass. He is knocked down by Terry McLaurin. That is interception number 11 of the season for Diggs, which ties a Cowboys record.
And Terry McLaurin was too far behind him there.
Yeah, and that's one of those plays where you like to see Taylor Heineke be aggressive. You just wish it was a little bit better ball. When you watch Terry McLaurin, I mean, he is sprinting right as they hike the football. And Trayvon Diggs is kind of playing off coverage, but it looks like he kind of underthrew him just a little bit. If he throws that ball and makes Terry go get it, he has an opportunity to continue to run. There is back into the play. Defensive back's able to make a play on it.
Yep, that's kind of how it was tonight. 56-14 the final. Dallas wins it over Washington. 11 picks for PG County's own.
Trayvon. Hey, listen, he's a cat burglar. What
was your best season for interceptions?
5, 6.
6, okay.
Not even half of this. Not half of this.
But he's got 11, and he's still got 2 more weeks to play.
11.
Yeah.
And guess what? Because it's such a DB bias in this league, they ain't going to give him Defensive Player of the Year. They ain't going to give him defensive. They don't like us as defensive back.
Right.
Ed Reed. Is Ed Reed the last defensive back to win Defensive Player of the Year?
Probably. I would say probably.
Like, that's it. Him and Charles Woodson.
Listen, it's him or his teammate, right? It's him or Parsons.
I don't know because
Parsons the defensive rookie of the year, hands down. That's not even a question.
Well, that is not in question. But then you got a T.J. Watt out there with 14, 15 sacks.
His team's in second to last place or whatever they're in now.
I say give it to Diggs. Why not?
I would. I don't know how you'd be against it. What did you think? Did you think they had a good look there, though? If the ball's put in the right place, do you think that's a good play?
I thought it was don't go to him then.
Right.
Like, you seen the DB bailing out. When you see us bailing out, we're telling you, you can have all the comebacks. You can have the stop route. I'm not going to let you beat me deep on this route. And when you see that as a quarterback, you got to throw that back shoulder. You can't throw because you can't beat him down the field. And we're talking about an ex-wide receiver playing cornerback that's on a hot streak. Like he's doing this to everybody. Didn't you hear his son for Christmas? He sent all these Christmas cards out to these quarterbacks telling them, thanks for throwing at my daddy.
That kid's hilarious.
I love him.
Yeah, that kid's funny. He's going to be on TV someday, or he already is on TV.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's on TV.
But anyway, someday they'll pay him to do it.
Yeah.
Look, it just kind of bothered. Here's what I didn't like about it. The last game, Taylor got himself in trouble forcing the ball to Terry against Dallas.
Yep.
And you just started the game off that way. And even if you got the right coverage and all that, you know his arm limitations. He and Justin Herbert for the frozen rope, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought the underneath stuff was open in the last game, and we saw that. They never really got a chance to try to establish the run because they were – in pass mode from the beginning, playing on their heels, and that's frustrating because that was the only way they were going to win.
And it made us one-dimensional.
Yeah,
it made us throw the ball, and that's what their game plan was. Let's get up early. Let's force them to play one-dimensional.
Absolutely.
And it worked. And then the one thing you cannot do on the road, you cannot turn the ball over. And for you to do it on your first drive, I think you can see the emotion. Get
air come out of the balloon, so to speak.
Out of the whole sideline.
I
can see it all. I just started looking at facial expressions.
All right, let's get to Rob. Rob, you're first up here on the official postgame show. How you doing?
The first play let me know that Scott Turner is not as smart as I thought he was. I'm going to leave it right there. That's as polite as I can say it because you had to make this an ugly game. You had to make this a dog fight. You had to walk in there. You had to shove that ball down Dallas' throat. You had to make them boys that's real light in the butt. They ain't got no bacon eaters on that D-line. You had to make them boys work. Run that ball down their throat. Make this an ugly game. Make this a dog fight. But nah, what they do, they went in there trying to be pretty boys. They got their pretty butt blown right the hell up out of it. That's all I got to say.
Hey, but you can't say this. Out of all Ron Rivera losses, this is the first one that truly got out of hand.
Well, it got out of hand.
Oh, it got out of hand.
It got out of hand.
But to be honest, he's kind of taking that out of our lap. Like, this usually happen every 4 or 5 games. Like, even the loss against Buffalo, we started to come back in the end. Playing the Cowboys at home, we started to come back at the end. This one, we just didn't have a chance. It just snowballed on us.
Jackie tweets us to say she's been enduring these losses for years, even when you played, Smoot. Well,
thank
even
you,
more
Jackie.
when Smoot played.
Hey, thank you, Jackie. Thank you. I have
I've
feelings.
seen the glory
You hurt
days,
them,
but it's been a long time since those days. Can we win something in this decade? Why is our team that we can't seem to get it together?
Hey, Jackie, let me tell you how the Minnesota Vikings feel. They ain't never won a Super Bowl. How you think they feel? What about the Carolina Panthers? They ain't never won a Super Bowl. Neither had the Browns. Like, listen, it's people that ain't even had a glory decade, a glory 5 years. Yes, we're trying to get to where we want to be. But to get there, we have to travel this road together. And the time is going to come. All right?
All right. John in South Florida is with us next here on the official postgame show.
Thank you, gentlemen, for taking my call. Smoot, I got a couple questions. I need you to answer this. Okay,
I got
number one, right? Why would you, on the first play, attack probably the defensive player of the year? Why would you attack? That's not Heineke's strength. So why are you trying to attack? If you're gonna attack, don't you attack Anthony Brown, who's the weakest link on the defense? So why are you gonna attack him? I don't understand that call on the first play of the game. The second is go ahead, Smoot, answer that, and I didn't.
I answer that. Check this out. I think that's where they had the play call. I think they wanted to get the ball to Terry McLaurin early and often. And see, that's what we haven't been doing. But I think they always try to get the ball to Terry by pushing it down the field. I think if you want to get the ball to Terry early and often, make it a 5-yard pass, make it a screen pass, touch the ball early, get the ball in your hands, let them know that we're going to get him in it. But to attack Diggs, one of the best deep ball coverers in the league at that point, I didn't think it was time yet. He's too fresh at that time in the game. He hasn't ran around enough. He hadn't tired him out. I thought it was too early. Now, next, what you got next?
Okay, Smoot. Now, I need you to vouch for me because I've been a Redskin fan. I'm calling a Redskin. I ain't calling no football team for 47 years since I seen Larry Brown play. I live down here in South Florida. Check this out. I need you to vouch for me to be part of player personnel and pick players because if I was on part of that organization, I'm picking me 2 quarterbacks every year. It's like shooting dice. If you don't hit 7, you keep shooting. I need 2 quarterbacks drafted every year till I find me a franchise quarterback. Don't no team in the league do that.
They don't do that because there's too much collateral to be drafting 2 quarterbacks every year. Because eventually, if you draft the right one in 1 year, you don't have to do it anymore. All right, and that's what you got to ask.
Then I can go away from doing that. But until I get my franchise quarterback, or not even a franchise quarterback, a quarterback that can lead me to wins, I'm drafting 2 quarterbacks every year. Mike Shanahan, at least he had some kind of option of doing it when he drafted Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins in the same year.
Don't you dare break up the Red Lobster. Don't you break up that Red Lobster. Didn't you just tell me you in South Florida and you going to break up Red Lobster? Hey, listen. All right, listen. RG3 was an enigma. He came, he gave us all he had, and he was out.
Right.
Kirk, he came, we groomed him, he got better. But you know what? The Minnesota Vikings felt like they was 1 player away from the Super Bowl. They went side Kirk. They ain't been back to the playoffs. So what I'm telling you, hey,
well, so what? Playoffs last year, right?
Yeah, they stink. Yeah. All right. All I'm gonna tell you is this: South Florida, we gonna find it, but we gotta be patient, and we cannot blame the past on this new. This new coaching staff, this new front office, they are not responsible for my era. They're not responsible for our G3 era. We can only move forward with the family we got. I know you got a daughter. If your daughter marries somebody right now and take his last name, ain't that still your daughter?
Yeah, I agree. But you say, Smoot, you said, right, we're going to get it right? You say it's going to take time. Man, I might be in my grave.
I hope not.
Come on,
I hope
bro.
not. I hope not. Because, listen, we're going into the third year of Coach rebuilding this thing next year. So eventually he's trying to – like, you can say this. We're putting together a great team to when we do have that team ready, then you just insert that quarterback. You got to ask yourself, do you want to start a rookie or would you rather start a Russell Wilson? Would you want to start Aaron Rodgers? Like, you got to ask yourself, where would you want to be at that time when your roster ready to go win and compete?
All right. Thank you from South Florida. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you. Happy New Year as well. All right. Well, we got to do it. I mean, I always say it only makes sense if your team's playing to call into the postgame. His team played. They were the only team that played tonight.
Yeah.
So we will allow Cowboy Don in.
Why do Don, a Cowboys fan, call it Washington Station? You basically a Benedict Arnold Cowboy, Don.
Hey, you there, Smooth?
I'm here, Don. I'm here.
Hey, listen, man. You know, it amazes me listening to you guys. You know, last year you were like, y'all were so hyped. You won you were given the division by
We won the division, Don. We won the division.
Philly gave you the division. Anyway, but you were so proud of the 7-9 division title. And you know, and you were so hyped that you beat the Cowboys when we were depleted. Now you sitting there.
Y'all just beat us tonight while we were depleted.
Yeah, now you sitting there because y'all are depleted now. Now you got excuses. I don't want to hear that bull. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. We pummeled your ass. We pummeled you. And you know what? And you know what? We're Super Bowl bound.
Hey, you know what? Cowboy Don, you told the truth. Until the end, you just told a lie.
Oh, man, we just lost Don. Oh, man, that's such a shame. We lost Don. I can't hear him anymore. What happened? Oh,
Magically, he disappears.
Oh,
Don just got everything he deserved. Because Cowboy fans are delirious. He just said they're going to the Super Bowl. Listen, the Cowboys ain't winning no Super Bowl. Let's be honest about it.
Hey, listen, they've had a really good year. They're still going to be – they're in it. They got a chance. I'll say that.
I don't trust Mike McCarthy. I'm just saying.
By the way, live
his beard
2022 season ticket deposits are available now. And want you to be part of the team at FedEx Field next season. Secure your season ticket memberships now for just $50 and become – the first in line to select your seats for the 2022 season. Season ticket members receive exclusive gold member benefits, including 50% off concessions, fast lanes at the stadium entrances, and select concession stands, year-round events, and more experiences tailored to you. You can learn more about 2020 gold membership program at the WashingtonFootballTeam.com/deposits. That's WashingtonFootballTeam.com/deposits. Or call or text 301-276-6800.
I feel it in my bones. Smooch the Dumbest has spoken. The year of the Washington team will be 22-2.
Look at that.
2-2-2-2. All right? The year for us would be 2-0-2-2. Tell him Fred sent you.
Yeah, Fred's actually one of the people that answers the phones. He'll text you back personally.
If you call for season ticket, I answer the phone, ask you what section you want to be in. Yeah. And, hey, I'm the guy that can help you, but I just feel something with these twos. All right?
The twos.
Yeah, the twos. Think about it. Next year will be 2-0-2-2.
Right. That's true.
That's the year of us.
All right. What was this final score again?
I don't know. I was crying in my hand.
It's right there on the screen. Oh my God! Yeah. Can we edit that out? 56-14 was the final. It was horrible.
LeVar Arrington to Fitzmagic.
Yeah, and a guy wearing Fitzmagic's number. This is how you knew the night was bad. There's a guy wearing the starting quarterback from Week 1's number playing in the secondary.
Yeah, DJ Hayden.
Nothing against DJ Hayden. A good story that he's back in the NFL. Good for him. But I mean, the fact that it's come to that point.
That he's wearing Fitzmagic. Like, they tell you how deep
your starting quarterback's number was given away.
Yes, because we was literally finding guys that didn't have to go home for Christmas. Like, whoever didn't have to go home, we was taking.
I mean, I'm like thinking, man, I thought his hip was bad. Why are they putting him in the secondary?
Yeah, we did sign a kick it, and I ain't blew it.
Anyway, all right, 56-14 the final. Let's hear from Ron Rivera a little bit more coming up on the other side. This is the Washington Football Team Radio Network.
Oh, hello. Just brushing up on some light reading. Today I'm going to talk about some football terms that are common, but might not be so common to the average fan. So let's talk about RPO, run, pass, option. So what that means here is that there is a run called, and the quarterback has the option to give it to the running back or pull it out. And they're reading a person on the defense. What they're hoping is that when this running back goes like this player goes like this, leaving a big void here in the defense where someone can fill it and the quarterback can throw the ball. This is one really simple example. RPO takes on many different versions, but the whole idea is that you're reading, you pick a player on the defense, you don't block them, and you let the action of the play, in this case, the running back going this way, block them, and you get a completion in behind them, or whatever the variation may be. Really awesome play design, very cool in the modern NFL.
Hey Washington fans, Alex Schreimel from Box is here to tell you that you don't have to wait for the big game anymore to get in on the action. With Box's free-to-play games, you can pick boxes every day and win huge prizes across all your favorite sports. All you have to do is pick a box, match your numbers, and win. So download the app now and start playing today. Games are completely free, and players can win official Washington football team merchandise and other great prizes all season long. Boxes, it's anyone's game.
Your hosts, Scott Jackson and Fred Smoot.
Gibson is the back. Heineke's under center. Bates in motion. 3 tight ends are in. Heineke steps up in the pocket. He's going to take a deep shot down the center of the field looking for De'Ami Brown, who makes a catch in between 2 Cowboys defenders, and that is his first big play in the NFL. They were talking about this earlier this week that they wanted to give him opportunities all the way down to the Dallas 27.
He's talking about how he is a young receiver, and one of the things that he did really great in college was win those 50-50 balls. He would come down with it, but he just hadn't progressed the way that they want. He has the speed. He has been that deep threat in college. That's what they need him for here. You said it. Coach called for it. His number was called. He made the play.
That was the electrifying play of the game for Washington, sponsored by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 26. Visit ibewlocal26.org for more information. Mm-hmm. There weren't many electrifying plays for Washington to choose from.
It wasn't, but the ones that was we made was made by rookies. Yeah. Bates made the big play. De'Ami Brown made the big play, and we've been waiting on De'Ami Brown to show us. It's a different speed in the league. Sure. Right? So if you're a game breaker in the league, that means not only can I get behind people, I can use my body. And on that deep pass, he used his body for the first time and not just his speed.
All right, tonight's fantasy numbers. If you had some Cowboys, you probably did okay for yourself, especially if you had Dak Prescott. Brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Download the app today and make every moment more. Dak Prescott, 4 touchdown passes, 330 yards passing tonight. That was a big night fantasy-wise. Amari Cooper said he wanted the ball more this week in Dallas, and guess what? They gave him the ball more. 7 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown for Cooper.
He need to stop dressing like Tim Brown, though.
Dalton Schultz, the tight end. 8 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. He seems to score every week. Ezekiel Elliott had a touchdown reception from 5 yards out. Also had a touchdown run in just 37 yards on the ground. Heck, Tony Pollard really didn't need to do much. It was that kind of game. Dallas was running away with it. If you did have Antonio Gibson in your lineup tonight, he did get you a touchdown for Washington. He also had just 29 yards rushing and 29 yards receiving, so 58 total yards and a touchdown for Gibson. So it wasn't a complete loss on that front tonight. And that's your
there's two people
fantasy numbers.
It's three positions I don't play with injured toes, and that's DBs, running backs, and wide receivers. It's just you can't
or kickers.
Our kickers. All right? Like it's one of them things where you can't ever get full speed, but you can't ever stop either.
True.
Like, so it's one of these situations that you're in. Like, people don't know how important your toe is until you bang it on the corner of the like the bedpost or something. You realize I can't do anything without this toe.
It is painful. All right, Ron Rivera had a little bit more to say after the game. His podium is sponsored by the Maryland Lottery. Here's the coach.
If this game long enough, you're going to get beat like this. It happens. How you respond to it, how you bounce back, how you play, that tells more about who you are than anything else.
In your reaction to the, fight between John Allen and Durham?
No, I had no idea about that. Okay, I was told about it later after it had happened, and I've talked to both of them.
What did they say?
I'll talk to both of them. What my players say to me is really nobody's business.
Is this indicative of any bigger picture?
Yeah, frustration. Wanting to win, having an opportunity for the last few weeks and not being able to get it done, not being able to have all the pieces in place that you need to go out there and play together. That's what that is. That's guys wanting to compete, wanting to win more than anything else.
How do you separate the COVID not having a linebacker tonight from not playing well enough?
You don't. It's all tied together. If you look at the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, we've dealt with a lot, but that's football, that's life. You're going to deal with a lot in life. How you handle it, though, that's the important thing. We didn't handle it very well tonight. That's disappointing. We got to be better than that. We expect to be able to win football games. We got to be better than that as a group.
Why don't you think your team handled it well?
Why did I think we didn't handle it well? Do you see the score?
What attributed to the players not handling it well?
I just told you. We just went through a few weeks, a couple of things, bad things happening. Okay, you have to deal with those things, and it's tough. It's not easy to try and separate and compartmentalize situations like that. It spills over. It gets to people. It's human nature. These guys are more than just robots. They don't go out there. These guys have feelings. These are players. These are people. Okay, they got a teammate going through something right now that it's tough. You have an opportunity and you don't have everybody playing. That's hard on people. That's not normal shit. That's real life shit. And that's what they're dealing with. These are young men. And we're just trying to help them along the way. Okay?
With Jamin Davis tonight, we were talking, I guess that was a COVID precaution. Is there a concern about that team-wide at all?
No, not now. We were able to get him tested and found out that it was negative, but because of the situation, circumstances, we had to be careful. We had to check with it. We notified the league right away. We isolated him as quickly as we could, and then we were able to find a testing site for him just to make sure. But he had symptoms, and it was unfortunate, but we had to be careful.
You went to Kyle Allen at the end of the game. Was that just a tonight thing, or is that potentially?
That was a tonight thing. That was to protect Taylor, more so than anything else.
Ron, with the defense for weeks had said, taking pride in sticking together and that sort of thing, for it to happen kind of on a national stage like this, for everyone to see it, just what do you make of that component?
That's the disappointing part. That's the frustration of it all. They feel they're better than that. They feel they should have performed better than that. And but still, it's one of those things. You don't have all the pieces.
With everything going on off the field, especially this past week, how do you get them mentally back on track for the last season? Well,
we got 2 games left to play. Who knows what happens? But we'll show up, we'll prepare, we'll get ready. And I told them, guys, that's all we can do. We got to play hard, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to show up, we're going to practice, we're going to work, we're going to get ready, and we'll show up on Sunday.
In light of the DeShazer situation, I know you guys have mental health counselors on that. Is there anything extra you do with the players?
Well, we're we're fortunate that we do have a trained professional. I mean, the doctor's there and she's there for the players and their families, and so we're hoping that things continue to work its way through.
Just to go back to John and Durham, do you anticipate any disciplinary measures, anything like that, coming from this?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm just learning all of it. But like I said, I talked with them, and as far as I'm concerned, that's where it's going to stay.
Anything else?
All righty, cool. Thank you, guys.
There you go, Ron Rivera after the loss to the Cowboys, 56-14.
It's frustrating. I feel it. I hear it in his. Come on now. Come on, you heard the words coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's just telling people, man, it's honest. These people are people. Treat them like people, not robots.
Raymond Johnson says, they tell Smoot the Bengals and Browns suck because their fans accept losing.
Nah, they suck because they just stinks. And they fans just fans because they willing to stay. Just like the Clippers.
The Bengals don't suck anymore, though.
The Bengals don't suck anymore. Just like the Clippers don't stink anymore. Once upon a time, Golden State used to stink.
They're really bad.
For 2 decades. These fans wrote it out come on now. Do you know how many teams, put it like this, we give Philly a lot of flack. They only won their first Super Bowl a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
So they went the whole entire time of football being played, being the only NFC East team not to win a championship.
Let me just ask you this honestly right now. Do you like their position better or our position better here?
See, this is why I need new friends. How can I say?
They got 3 number ones waiting for them. They got a young quarterback.
Don't put
who
me
can
in that
play.
position.
And I'll say this too. And this has nothing to do with the group here. And this is part of the problem for the group that's here now. They're have to pay for the sins of the past. But imagine if Howie Roseman had said, Carson Wentz was I didn't like him when he was here, and I didn't like the way he handled this thing. So you know what? I'm not going to send him to the best place for him and the best place for us to get stock, which is the Colts, where I could get a conditional number 1, which he did, and, of course, it is now a number 1. But we had a man who did business here like that ran the front office that wouldn't trade people to certain places because it might be beneficial to that particular player or that former coach that was here.
That's what you just said, Jack.
There's no way to run a business, man. There's no way to run a business.
You said was. We used to.
Right, but that just drives you crazy because that is like money lost that you're never going to get back, and it hurts you. It
that's
hurts
why you can't let certain players walk out the door.
Right.
You have to get something for them if you know you're going to lose them. That's the key. Like assets. They didn't have these assets at first. Well, we got assets too. I feel like we one of those teams. We got assets. We in one of those Goldilocks zones also, just like Philly. They got some youth over there. We got a youth movement too. Don't forget, if you go through our last 2 drafts, how many of those players played today? Besides the 2 that made 2 catches.
The last 2 drafts?
The last 2 drafts. So De'Ami Brown made a catch today and John Bates made a catch today. Nobody else. Right, so what I'm saying is.
Well, Gibson was part of 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he only played a quarter and a half.
Right.
So I'm just saying, once we got all our guys back, that's almost like a new draft class in itself.
Well, again, you got to keep them on the field too, and then
you staying on the field is a little luck too now.
But at some point, if you're a person who gets hurt over and over, then you got to start saying,
you're injury plague.
Yeah,
that's who you are.
That's who you got to worry about.
Yeah.
All right, we still got more to do. Washington, Dallas tonight. 56-14 the final. I don't know more to say. It's just horrendous.
Rick Ross.
We'll look ahead to the Eagles game coming up as well. That game at FedEx Field a week from, it's now 6 days from now, when they take on Philadelphia. The rematch from the game that just took place.
Next year.
Right, next year. Yeah.
All right, so this year's over with.
Yeah, what a way to roll out 2021, by the way.
2-0-2-2. That's our year, baby.
2021 went out with a thud for sure. All right, we'll take a timeout. Official post-game show, Scott Jackson, Fred Smoot. This is the Washington Football Team Radio Network.